Gentlemen, I'm in the process of servicing this guy. It's a Data East lethal weapon. And I'm done cleaning and replacing rubber in that. And then I opened up the cabinet and found that. Sorry for the shakes, but you can see the batteries have started leaking. And I've got some corrosion. I've got some stuff squirting onto the motherboard over here. So it's already starting to do damage. So what I need to do here is to take that whole board out of the back box, get rid of that battery holder, and then clean everything and repair what needs to be repaired. The good news is this machine still plays the way it should, so if there's any damage, it'll just be on the battery circuit, but we'll see once we get it undone. These things could snowball quite easily. So I'll show you how that is done. Stay tuned. And here you can see some of the damage. It's already starting to encroach on this chip and these components here. That test point there is completely corroded. So this needs to come off, and then we need to bath this in some other neutralizing agent and then repair all the tracks. So you heat the pad, you wait for all the solder to melt, you put your solder sucker there, and you suck away the solder. So this is what it looks like after the first wash. I've got all the battery juices neutralized now. So now it's just a question of finding the broken track. So I've already found that resistor there, the one on the right hand side, the leg was completely eroded through. So those will have to be replaced. I'll have to rip out this chip to see if that's okay. But like I said, the board plays as it is. So we're lucky. That resistor has something to do with the reset, I'm pretty sure. So we're still lucky that we're lucky that the board still resets the way it should. But I'm going to pull this chip because I saw some corrosion on some of these pins, and this is inside a chip carrier, so I'll most probably have to replace the chip carrier. So let's pull the chip, soak this in some magic solution, give it an hour or so, and then take it out, clean it, and remove this chip carrier. This is what the board looks like after I've cleaned it and taken out the socket for the CPU. I've inspected all the pads, and it seems that through all plating is there. Pads are fine on both sides. All the acid has been neutralized. I know it's not acid, but let's call it acid. All of that's been neutralized and washed away. I've removed the 1K resistor there. The one leg was completely gone anyway. Everything else looks fine. So now it's time to put that socket back into that footprint, so I can put the CPU back in and see if we can get it going. I'm not going to show you how I solder in a socket, so we'll see you when I get back. Okay, here we have the battery holder removed, and most of, well, all of the corrosion has been neutralized, so there's still some crumbs sitting there, but they're not doing any damage. What I did find is that one leg of this little IC was corroded off, and that's a supervisory circuit that resets the circuit resets the CPU as soon as the 5V goes below a certain point. That's to protect against brownouts and to make sure that the CPU is not sitting in an undetermined state. I've then gone and put my off-board battery holder on. That'll be fastened inside the cabinet somewhere far away from this so it doesn't happen again. Because those batteries will leak. The guy who owns this will forget to change the batteries once a year, and so on and so on. So when it happens again, we won't have damage. And I don't live in a world where I can find discontinued parts next day delivery. I don't live in a world where I can phone up the guys in New York and say, I want a manual for my Gottlieb, and it'll be in my postbox the next day. I live in a world where I need to make a plan. So what happened was, when I fixed this board, I reconnected this 10K resistor. I reconnected this IC, which means that the reset line is this line here. It gets pulled high because reset is active low. You can see there's the reset test point. And because I think the reset line goes high too soon after power is applied, it doesn't give the system chance to initialize properly before the CPU starts running. That's the job of this capacitor here, this capacitor will charge up very slowly through that 10K resistor and through this 47 ohm resistor. It'll charge up very slowly and bring this reset line up relatively slowly so that it gives the CPU time to initialize, or it gives the rest of the circuit time to initialize before the CPU starts running. Which led me to believe that this cap was either dead or disconnected. The way I tested it was to connect a cap between that reset test point there and ground with crocodile clips in it. The machine booted up fine after that. So that confirms my suspicion that that cap is dead. So I took the board out the machine again. And that's what I found when I removed the cap from the board. I could see that track there going from that pin. I can still see the throttle plating there. But going from that pin to the middle component there, that's the 47 ohm resistor. That track was eaten off. So the cap wasn't doing anything. So the reset line went high way too fast. Here's the cap that came out there. It's a 47 microfarad cap. And there's nothing wrong with it, except it's not making contact with the board anymore. So I've made this little contraption that'll solder in right there and do the job of the other cap. I'll bring you back when I've done that. All right, I've got the board back in. I've tested it. It works. So I've reconditioned all that. There's the little capacitor that I've soldered in. And when the board started up, these two lights were on, and that one that says blanking didn't come on at all, and it didn't boot. But now I fixed it. Watch the lights. Backing up. So that's what the LED should look like. And it boots fine. Right guys, that's my little board repair for today. Thank you for watching.